Sticking with the theme of the personality or the temperament of an entrepreneur, and what you said, that another striking part of the story is that it was a family business.
Yes.
And although there's some complexities about how, after your father came here and then the company, there were two parts to the company. There was one entity that owned the assets and the other that managed the assets. But it was your father eventually it was your father and then you and your brother,
Yeah.
which is a family business. But as the story's told, is that it was remarkable that the running of the business didn't affect the bonds between father and sons.
No, basically, we were a close family, number one. But I was particularly close to my brother. Well, we just simply almost thought the same. And we worked very, very closely. People couldn't believe the two brothers could be as close as we were. And we worked for my father, you're right. And that was a very, very close relationship until my dad left the business, really.
Mm-hmm. And what type of personality do you think your brother had?
He was
compared to yours?
He was a better salesman than I was. He wasn't as good with people. So basically, whenever he had a people problem, he came to me. Mm-hmm. But he was a very good salesman, ran a very good business. We eventually bought the McCormick Distilling Company in about 1960 or thereabouts. And he ran that company mm-hmm. after we bought it.
But as a salesman, you still knew how to balance a book, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
That came from the chicken business.
I think that's right.
So that's probably a good lesson.
I knew the importance of keeping good records.
And maybe a message for young men and women who consider themselves to be good at salesmanship.
Right.
It's still important to know how to balance a book, isn't it?
It sure is.
Yes.
And know how to make money.
I'm so amazed by your optimistic view. I can just see you and Joe Carrigan, because I had the pleasure of knowing him later in his life. Didn't you ever get back to the hotel room and drink up the samples? I mean, just kind of out of frustration?
A little bit. We, both Joe and I liked having a few drinks. Unfortunately, it eventually kind of got to be too often with Joe, and we had to warn him about his drinking, and he gave up his drinking later on completely. It became entirely dry. But no, Joe and I were very, very close. We really enjoyed each other, and people always told us that they didn't know how I could travel with Joe because he snored so badly. And of course, in those days, we didn't have enough money to stay in separate rooms, so I always slept with Joe. But I never had any trouble. It's amazing. I've never had trouble sleeping with a person that snored. In fact, my wife did a little of that. And it just never bothered me.
So what's the secret to building a bond with somebody with whom you work so that you appreciate his strengths, he appreciates your strengths, and you're really good in front of the client? How do you develop that? Back to your debate partner. What strengths did you bring, and how did you develop that partnership?
Well, of course, Joe and I were both very much alike. And when we actually traveled, we did not go very seldom went to the same account together. We liked people. We believed a lot in our company, and Joe and I just had an affinity for each other because we felt so much alike. And the same thing was true, of course, with my brother and I, and eventually my dad. Dad was different than I was. He was more the leadership type. And he had a little hard time for a while believing in my approach to running the company. But he eventually believed and I think completely respected me before it was all over.
And then as the years go by, then your position, you become then the father.
Yes.
So you were the son working for the father, and
right.
Then eventually your daughter, Karen, and her husband, Lad, and Lad in particular, comes into the business. So how did your experience with your father help you as Lad, your son-in-law, became a prominent part.
Oh, there was no doubt about it. I respected my dad. As I explained, that there was a little feeling there when he didn't come to our wedding, but I respected my dad very much. We were not the same kind of person, but I respected him completely, and I think he grew to respect me. I don't know. I think I picked up some of his leadership skills along with those that I had. And as we became more successful, obviously it was interesting because we started making money, believe it or not, in this little distillery. And it was a very enervating time for the company. We eventually developed wheat gluten, which is made from wheat, and we got what we called vital gluten, which had the baking characteristics in the dry gluten, and we developed that as a product, which became very profitable. We at one time were the largest producer of wheat gluten in the world, and during that time we were very successful, and we made a lot of money, much of which I invested back.